do. So I think things function pretty well where they are. I would certainly be in favor of an option that would continue to move down that path to see what we could level out. And if it's some of Jay's issue goes, how we share revenue, how we share Kevin's time. Certainly that would be my preferred option at this point.
So something like this, option C.
Option C.
Right.
Okay. Other thoughts about this?
You know, just also going back to this 50-year history booklet that you have on your website, also mentions that the reason why the separation happened in 1938. So a lot of them is exactly what you just said.
Right.
So be aware of that.
I would say, Jay, there are, if you look at your numbers, you're talking about 90 to 100 people. How many of those are very active? And how many people are really running the southern part? Probably a handful of people. 3 of you in this room, probably a few more.
Well,
Again, I'm not trying to say one way or another, but I'm just saying, is it really working for you down there, and what message are you getting out, and is there a benefit? You laid out a lot of the benefits and cons, but are you really effective? We have a lot of dwindling chapters everywhere, and I think we need to look towards the future and how can we sustain things towards the future.
exactly.
We really need to be thinking of that.
And as you know, and you'll read in that March report, the broadening of the tent is going to be a big part of that. All those foresters that are foresters, like myself and John and Tamara, that actually not doing forestry work. One, or like you were saying, all those foresters all those people that might be working in forestry that are not 100% forestry, but the natural resources. A big decision to be made soon this year is the admission of technicians as a full members in SAF. In the West, not a big issue. In the South, a big issue. So having those goals, I'd like to mention that, is SoCal SAF the way it is, or when this structure the national office trying to create, it might help groups like SoCal or the southern part of Inner Mountain or the Appalachian, because pretty much everybody in the national Washington D.C. district or chapters, rather, none of them are traditional foresters. So one of the things that we're looking at, we need to have this mindset, what is traditional forestry and what is not, and just think about what is forestry, what is natural resources management, and how do we fit with that.
Okay, just in fairness, when this was brought to the group,
Came
in
from
that
SoCal.
handout I sent you, we had the workshop in Berkeley, and attached is 2 pages of notes from the Berkeley meeting, and in those notes, the point Kevin just raised was the reason stated for the desire by SoCal to have a merger to begin with. But the question is, would that change anything? I'm not sure if there's any solution to that activity through merging. In fact, some loss of identity and maybe a lessening of the closeness of the relationship with members to the society, if I'm saying that correctly. In other words, less incentive to participate. That's just but it's in the notes.
Yeah, Doug Nichols and Doug Pierto brought this forward at the Santa Cruz, at the Cal Poly, at the Swan Pacific meeting.
At the Berkeley session, the winter meeting.
Well, they brought it, Doug Nichols brought it forward that summer before as saying, we're having trouble with membership, half of the Southern California members are retired or they're Cal Poly students, you know, and he talked about the crisis of leadership, the question Kevin was just asking, so.
So, I'm sorry, I had to step out. Something really personal is going on with my family right now. But the way I see this, in just a couple minutes. So, yeah, SoCal's been struggling in a lot of ways. I think across the nation, everybody's kind of experiencing it to some degree or another, the same thing that we're experiencing. I think the collaboration has been great,
Yeah.
but has it increased any more participation from SoCal where we are lacking participation from other SoCal members? It's the same people from SoCal that are committed. And I don't know that if we merged or didn't merge, I don't see that we're gonna get more increased participation from SoCal. Now I understand that NorCal also has a degree of some problems of recycling leadership positions. It's hard to get people to step up to the volunteer positions. It's a lot of work and effort. So, I don't know what way is the best way to go, but I don't, personally, I don't think that if we merge or not merge, I don't think it's gonna improve the SoCal apathy. I just think that's general apathy, and I don't think we're gonna, I don't know what to do to spur them to get more active.
Could be worse than
You know, and I would like to, I mean, the few people that I have talked to, I know that they do like the fact they are receiving a newsletter. And it has been positive that, yeah, they see a little bit more of the whole state instead of just from SoCal. So I do think that the collaboration has been beneficial to SoCal memberships. If it continues this way, maybe in time, there could be more interested participation. Only time's gonna tell that.
Okay.
So, I just don't know what to do to get those people moving.
Okay, John Helms and then Helgi.
Rick, I have to confess that prior to this meeting, I thought I knew what I preferred, in that I would have said unequivocally that I was supportive of a merger. But simply based on my presence here this afternoon, I realize that the issues are a little bit more complex. And I have two questions. On the slide where you say, based on the vote, we recommend, is the "we" the joint committee? At the very, the second
Yeah,
line.
the ad hoc committee recommended an informal
Yes.
vote.
Was it, the question is, was that recommendation unanimous, or can you tell me?
That was
what
unanimous.
the breakdown was?
No, the ad hoc committee, the 8 of us, believed that the membership needed to have a vote
Oh, I
on
see.
these alternatives. And based on those results, we would recommend moving forward. If we're gonna do either A or B, there's a whole process of getting a petition with at least 30 members and then having the formal vote. But so we're recommending kind of a poll of what people think the best
Okay,
alternative.
so the joint committee did not come out for any one of those options?
We
Okay.
framed those, and one of them, Jay wasn't able to be on the committee call because he had the other conflict. We decided to meet anyway.
Okay.
And we had, Jay just gave us some additional feedback today that was really helpful.
The second question is for Jay. Does the board have any concern about a state society having the membership that's represented by Southern California State Society?
The concern that is that whatever we do benefits the members and benefits the society and the profession in the long run. So they just want to make the message from them through me to you is to really think about it and
Yeah.
make the right decision.
I guess, could I reverse the question to you then and say, if we were currently a single state society and we were to make a recommendation to the board that we wanted to split and have a Southern California society with the membership it currently has, do you think the board would approve that?
And I'll start with example. Just a few years ago, the Dakotas merged, and that was a successful merge. Council did discuss it for a little while. I don't think, were you, Julie, in council when that happened? So probably before you were in there. But it was quite a bit of discussion when I was asking the question. The board did discuss it quite a bit. It comes down to the membership of each society, what they want to do. The main part is that if we make sure that it is an open process. And I do have something to say about the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee was selected by people that want that to happen. So when you bring it out to the membership, I say, well, who is this ad hoc committee and how come I didn't get a chance to be in? So the ad hoc committee is predisposed for one thing, so we're gonna put out to the membership, we need to work on that, because I don't think the ad hoc committee can put it out there, because it was pretty much you, and let's work together. So we have to be very careful on that, it needs to be a democratic process.
Well, John, I think you were asking the question, if there was a California SAF right now, would there be any impetus to move to option B at this time? Is that what you're
Correct.
saying
And
with
secondly-
100 members?
And secondly,
and-
would the council or the board
Right.
approve that, given the size
Right.
of the number of people involved?
But, exactly, and the southeastern is divided like that because there's so many.
Yeah. No, but he's saying, well,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, yeah. Helgi, I think, had the next question, and then Wendy.
So I agree with Bill and others that we do need more information, and that will always be the case. We have been working on this for a year. I think we have the basic information we need. Issues about the IRS and financial issues, I think they can be resolved as we go forward. I would like to agree with Jay. You said it's really not our decision, it's the membership's decision. I don't think it's our place to decide. I do not think we have the authority to decide this issue on behalf of our membership. I think it's something that the membership should decide. We should gather the information, put it forward to the membership, and let them decide. So I would like to move that we put forward a proposal to join NorCal and SoCal SEF societies into one joint California SAF society for a membership vote in each of the two societies. So that would be the option A, full merger.
Okay, so that's a motion, and that vote would be a sense of the membership, not an...
Correct. That would be to send it to the membership for their popular vote.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, is there a second on that, and then we'll have discussion.
Restate it, please restate it, because I'm not sure that what you said is what I heard Helgi say.
Okay,
Okay. So the motion is to put forward a proposal to join NorCal and SoCal SAF societies into one joint California SAF society for a membership vote in each of the two societies.
So effectively, option A is what you are moving.
Correct, to put that out for a membership vote.
So does that mean that this vote is binding, and what if NorCal says yes and the SoCal says no? I mean,
Exactly. We need to find that out.
Well, and there's one more issue behind that, but.
yeah, the reason I said the sense is, as I understand, a vote like that can't happen without the formal petition, and so that's why I threw in the, Helgi, it was a sense of the membership about whether to move it forward.
Right, and I'm deliberately stepping back from the complexities of process, which I understand is quite complex. I think we need to make it simple. We need to get this out to the membership and get their vote.
So,
And we will work through the process complexities as we go along,
so
obviously.
there's a process issue with that, but I know some people had the hand up, so.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, we need a second on that, and then we can have some discussion. And maybe the motion needs clarification, but Helgi made a motion, is there a second? If there's no second, it dies. No second?
Oh, no, I'm not saying.
But you had Wendy's hand up and.
Well, you know, to follow it up, there's a motion on the floor. Is anybody gonna second it? Nobody's gonna second it, the motion dies. Okay, the motion died. Wendy?
Really quick question, could you reiterate if the Southern California membership has been polled to see if?
Nobody's been
Yeah, that was my question. That was gonna be my question, because it's my understanding, the ad hoc committee has presented stuff to the joint executive committees, And outside of the Survey Monkey poll that was done over a year ago, there has been no other involvement by the general membership on this matter yet.
That's correct.
So I kind of think we should shouldn't we be bringing up all the possible options and the kind of the basic ins and outs of what's going to be required of those options for the membership to weigh in on? Would that not be the next step?
Okay.
Before recommending, and then they, maybe some want the full merger, maybe some just,
So are you suggesting presenting the 4 options to the membership?
and some of the intricacies that might go along with each of those 4 options
Sure.
to the membership to weigh
They
in
can
on.
decide the full
And
information.
I will take even more back to that. I think, from the process point of view, the ad hoc committee, I don't think the ad hoc committee can submit a motion. It has to come from our executive committee. So the 2 executive committees decided to appoint an ad hoc committee. So that is by itself a risk, because it needs to be open to the whole membership. Now, that we had an analysis done by the ad hoc committee, yes. Now, we want to put that out to the rest of the membership, absolutely. How do we put it out there? That becomes the issue.
Okay, so Tamara is suggesting a polling of both memberships rather than Helgi's, which was voting yes, no on option A. I believe you're saying vote on one of these options right here. With some, providing the white paper, providing the additional analysis that Jay gave us, so that perhaps, is that what you're suggesting, Tamara?
Yes, I think, yeah.
And for democratic process, I also have another one called other. Because there might be some other good ideas out there. Our members need to have a voice, and that's one thing that national office and the board is looking for now. Making sure that we collect that information. Let's not make the decision for them, but this is what the committee came up with. Do you have something else you'd like to suggest? And see what happens.
Okay, we'll go with John, Mike, and then John Todd, Mike, and then John Helms.
Okay, well, as a member of the committee, I would say that we weren't predisposed towards any of the options. In fact, if I was gonna say before I started with the committee, I was probably into option B camp. Okay, so I certainly didn't have any, but I think the feeling of the committee was, we looked at this a year ago, we came to the meeting, we did pros and cons, and, we need some progress, and while this is still fresh, we need to get some direction from the whole membership. Should we just shelve it, table it, should we, and then if the membership comes back and says A, then we look at a motion like Helgi's to go forward. That's what I think.
Okay, Mike DeLaSalle and then John Helms.
First of all, just to commend the committee and all the work that has been done that does stem from the meeting in Santa Cruz a couple of years ago at Swan Civic and then last year at Cal. A great dialogue, a great summary of everything that's being talked about. I really like Bill's comment there because it really parallels my thinking. But I'm also thinking it is time to roll it out and get it out there for a bigger input. I didn't recall doing a Survey Monkey survey, but maybe you did.
We did, yeah.
There was a Survey Monkey survey for the white paper.
The point I wanted to make, let's take advantage, there was another point. For all the students who are here, what a great time to be here and watching this dialogue. Because this is a rather significant discussion that's happening right now with the state of the Society of American Foresters in California. So to be here when we're debating what we're going to do about our future as this state society is a great opportunity to be here and to be part of it. And I hope you'll continue to pay attention to what we're talking about. The point I was going to make is today we have this great technology of the internet, and why don't we, if we're going to move further down the road on this, let's open it up, not a vote, but let's do a web-based educational opportunity, a webinar where we're getting the give, the take, all the positions that are out there in a webinar sort of way. And we can bring everybody together in our virtual meeting and have this debate online to the degree that we can utilize this technology. So I'm just suggesting that as a way to move forward with a well-informed discussion for everybody who may, beyond this room, have an interest in this topic.
Okay. John Helms.
Let me start off by supporting Mike's most recent view. I think this is an essential thing we do. I think if we're going to be successful with membership, you have to provide a vehicle for enabling people to participate, even though they happen to be living in Wairika or living in San Diego or wherever. We have to be able to participate. and I can take advantage of the web-based manner of doing that. So let me first of all support that. Secondly, my inclination is to invite membership to give some feedback on each of these options. I would recommend, however, that in doing so, I suggest that you don't just simply provide members with the white paper and the summary of the work that has been done in the past. I would recommend that you give some thought to, given the fact that we're now at the point asking members to take a look at option A through D, you rework the information that you've got into a format such that I, as a member, can hopefully intelligently look at the pros and cons of an A versus the pros and cons of a B. And it might be difficult for me to tease that out of the current documents. So I would recommend that you take a look at the documents, rework it such that I can respond as intelligently as I can to what I understand now, from the benefit of this last hour's discussion, is a hell of a lot more complex than I appreciated before I walked into this room. And I think people who haven't been able to participate in our meetings are at a much worse disadvantage than I am.
Okay, good. Jay, and then we're gonna need to come up with the next steps on this.
So, and I like what Mike said, and that's what the suggestions from John Todd to have this videotape, so we can probably use it for information. Not everybody out there is out with computers yet. We do have, in our society, we have about 10 people that refuse to use email. 9 now, yeah.
One reason not to merge.
Yeah, exactly, not exactly, but I just said, we can open it up. But I think to make a great point, how can, we've been working with these changes that we make in the national office, one of the things that we decided not try to do all of them at the same time. And you have seen in the last 3 times that you had voted for different issues, they kind of alike. And the last one that we have is this membership categories that we have discussed, because then create some stuff. So we have this year, and you'll see in the national office publications, an explanation of what this is all about, including the process. Not with choices yet, just an explanation what the process is and what we're trying to do, the broadening of the tent and all that stuff. So people can feel that they have been informed, and it's not the very end. By the way, this is what we're doing, and these are just choices. You gotta vote. So allowing for a democratic process to occur and allowing for input to come in is very, very important. So I like what John said, we should be careful how we word it. This is an opportunity for engagement, and I like what Mike said about the students. This is an opportunity to bring a debate, and some people have been sleepy, and all of a sudden they heard the word merger, and they said, well, wait a minute, what's going on? And now it's an opportunity to get people to get involved. Let's use it as that. And we can actually cultivate probably more participation that way.
Okay, so I've heard, we have about 3 options on the table here. Tamara made the suggestion of having a sense of the membership vote in each society on options A through D plus other. That's one. Mike Delasso, echoed by John Helms, to have a joint virtual membership meeting where this is discussed, where the material can be rolled out, probably with some kind of online PowerPoint, webinar type thing, and then people could provide feedback that way. So that's a second item. And then the third is we're capturing some of this right now, the discussion, and we can post that on the web, on each of our websites, and people could then provide feedback. So the 3 things have been suggested. What's our next step here? We're going to go with Bill and then John.
Look, I don't think any 3 of those are necessarily mutually
I agree.
exclusive. I think in terms of informing the membership, we have the newsletter as a vehicle to get to what Jay's been talking about, in terms of kind of laying out what the ad hoc committee has done, what some of the pros and cons, sort of what the national folks did as we were looking at this membership category. Just kind of laying out things and explaining it. Announcing a webinar to allow people to participate in it discussion, and also advising members that you are going to be having an advisory vote of each of the chapters. I think you could link all three of those together, come up with a process that got you to then an end result that says, okay, membership is generally in favor of this, or they're generally not, and then make a decision at that point. Probably gonna take the better part of this year, to get all that stuff done.
So I guess I'm still a little skeptical. What if we do and I get the impression this would be an informal polling of the membership. What if we do an informal polling and the membership indication is that they are, say they're not in favor? What we have then is a statistically questionable informal polling with confidence intervals a country mile wide. What do we do with that? What have we learned?
Yeah, you could have the results on the other, you could have a full merger with the same type of statistics.
Exactly.
I think all we're doing is giving the members a chance to participate and voice an opinion. To get down to a statistically valid, you're probably not going to get it. I think we probably need to go into it assuming that this is going to be an advisory piece.
Yeah, and I guess that is the point of my question is why not put it to a formal membership vote? Is that not the democratic process we should be striving for?
Well, I guess my understanding of what it would take for the Northern California section to put it to a formal vote, it would take a petition signed by 30 members, and we would have to do our thing. I'm not clear on what Southern California would have to do.
Well-
And I have something on that, I'll go over the process in a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had brought copies of the SoCal bylaws for the ad hoc committee people. I also, that have other information in it that was for the committee. I also have just some copies, extra copies of other people that weren't on the ad hoc committee, just wanted a copy of the SoCal bylaws. So, yeah, so.
Okay, the field trip starts in 15 minutes and we still have to decide on our next meeting,
Let me
so.
pass this real quick.
So-
So for education, everybody, this is what national office created for dissolution, merging, and again, I don't have copies for everybody. But formation, merging, dissolution of this. And the one that applied to us will be 2 pages in, step 4, state society division, state society division and chapter merger. And it has 7 steps right there that must be followed. So that's for your education. Again, the key is democratic process. The key is allowing our members to get engaged. When we make the decision for our members, we lose our members. Let's keep it engaged. This is a great opportunity for dialogue, conversation, debate. Let's use it properly. Again, the whole idea of here is to make this a good for our members, forestry profession, and for the society.
So may I try a separate motion,
Okay,
see if it gets a second? I move that we redo, that the committee assigns a couple of people to redo the white paper, which would then subsequently be approved at the next exec committee meeting or by interchange on the internet. We don't want to wait that long. And with that white paper, which would then provide the discussion outline on pros and cons to make it more clear, as John Helms pointed out. That then be distributed in the next newsletter and a website be provided with a deadline for members to respond to that white paper as to their preference, and that, we need to do more.
And more than a white paper, I would like to suggest a call for participation. Because again, in a white paper, decision made by an ad hoc committee.
Doug's got a
was-
motion on the
so-
floor.
We can,
Are you proposing to change, somebody's gotta read the motion back so we can get a second and decide if that's the way we're gonna go.
And I'm willing to withdraw it if
No, no,
No, I think we just need to work it out.
okay.
Second it.
Second it, okay, so the motion is to redo the white paper and then to have a,
circulate it through the newsletter.
circulate it through the newsletter, hold a webinar to discuss it, and then to have a formal vote, to have a vote, a sense of the membership vote.
With a deadline.
Okay,
And to put in there, I like to include that if we explain the membership, how this ad hoc committee came about, so they know what the process is. We need to let them know.
I accept the amendment.
okay.
I had a question in terms of which newsletter we're talking about, because it sounds like the deadline for the next newsletter is February 1st. Is it possible to have this done between now?
1 week, no, we need 2 weeks, I think.
So,
Sarah can take these to be delayed.
okay.
Yeah, the February is the tentative, usually the newsletter doesn't, you know, she says that, you know, like with your kids, you want them there at 7, so you tell
But
5.
when you tell them 7, when you tell them whatever it is, there is a time.
There is,
Okay,
that's
so there's-
usually the end of February.
Okay, so there's a motion that Doug made, seconded by Bill. Is there,
I'm not clear on the last part of it, the approval of it, the very last piece.
okay, so is the last, let's just make sure, Rob's collecting these in the minutes here. So the approval is a sense of the membership vote with a deadline
Yes.
after the webinar.
Well, after-
So there's the,
After the newsletter,
there's,
I think it needs to be put out in the newsletter, so
Right.
all members know, they all have it in their hand, period.
see,
Newsletter, webinar, censoring.
okay. Got that, Rob? So there's a newsletter article which references the revised white paper, a webinar for input and to describe it, and then a sense of the membership vote with a deadline to advise the 2 executive committees about next steps.
What would the membership be voting on?
The options.
Preference for options.
A through D with an other
And
category.
full discussion of the process, new white paper.
Doug Peardo?
I'm sorry I had classes, so I can just join you now. My only question is, why does it have to be a sense of the membership? Why can't that be the vote?
Because it would need a petition where you have to get 30 members from each society to sign a formal petition, and then the group hasn't figured out whether or not they want to move forward with the formal vote yet.
Will that be the petition if you get more than 15 members voting for?
No, we have to go through that next step.
Yeah. That's my understanding.
So
Okay.
by way of discussion on the motion.
There's a motion on the floor, and we're discussing the motion right now that Doug made, seconded by Bill. Helgi.
I believe it's an illusory and potentially unfruitful action to take to have a sense of the vote. I do not think we're going to get a reliable vote that way, and I question why this body would need that sense of membership vote. Why would the membership vote influence how they go forward? Again, my sense is that we exist to serve the membership. We are not here to make a decision on behalf of the membership. I think our only action forward should be to find out the process for moving this forward for a popular vote. So I would suggest that we amend the motion to take out the sense of the membership vote. Both statistically and politically, I think it's indefensible.
So what I think I hear you saying, I make a motion that the Northern California Society of American Foresters begins a petition.
Correct.
You made that.
That's what I just said.
Okay, well, we got a motion on the floor that we have to vote on first. Okay, is there an amendment being proposed to that motion? Are you?
No, you can let this.
We gotta wrap this up, 'cause it was a.
I'm proposing that the sense of the membership won't be removed from the motion.
Okay, so Helge has proposed an amendment to the motion to strike the popular sense of the membership part, the last part of the motion. Is there a second on that, on that motion? Amendment for the motion?
I don't want to accept.
Is there,
That would be a friendly amendment, I don't think he's.
and he's not accepting it, okay, so he's not striking out Helge.
I know, I'm not doing well today.
SoCal second his motion.
Has yours been seconded?
Okay,
I need all the help I can get.
all in favor of Doug's motion indicate by, well, raise your hand, and I guess we'll.
Can we
vote se-
reread Doug's motion with the
Can you do the
entire?
best you can?
Okay, ready?
Vote after me.
Move that we redo the white paper, which would be approved at the next committee meeting and discussed via internet meetings. The white paper would outline pros and cons and be distributed in the next newsletter. After the newsletter, there will be a sensory vote by the membership to approve the alternatives.
No, the option would be that, the members respond with their preference during that process.
Okay, so there will be a sensory vote by the membership to vote for an alternative.
We're trying to get the direction on what the final action should be from the membership.
Okay. Are they gonna vote on anything? They're gonna vote on all
He's got
alternatives?
go by,
So, can you, maybe I'll hold a vote of NorCal and you hold a vote of anyone here from SoCal. Okay, NorCal members vote now. All in favor of that motion, raise your hand, please.
Who's eligible to vote?
Members of the executive committee. Vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 in favor. All opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it passed 6-3. SoCal vote.
Okay, well, here's the thing with SoCal. We've got 7 executive members. We require 50% for a quorum. We've only got 3 of us here.
So you
We
need
should
to
have
vote
3.4.
Dr. Doug?
Oh, Dr. Doug is here. Okay, so we can do it then. So we have a quorum in SoCal.
Okay.
Okay, so,